Hi, I'm Chris Moe. I'm with Horizon M&A Advisors. I'm here in the San Francisco Bay Area. And what I can do for you is I'm going to help you understand kind of the timeline to selling your business today. I've been doing this for over 10 years and I focus on construction trades. And I'm a member of the Marin Building Association here in Marin County. And let's just get right into it, and I will ad lib on some of the things that you're gonna see. So this is gonna be about what's going to be involved in the process, the roadmap to a successful exit. And I'm in these stages right now with a handful of companies. I'm just getting them on board. For instance, it could be 12 months out. Here's a perfect example why it might take time to clean up. If you open the hood of your business and we get a look at your engine and see what's going on, the example would be I have a commercial landscaping company that didn't really have much management beyond the seller. So it's turned out what we're going to do. He has hired on a couple managers and he's going to train them up, which in about 6 months or a year's time, it'll make his business worth more. Private equity companies quite often would love the business to be self-sustaining. Uh, sure, some of them will be happy to come in and replace the seller with or the key person with somebody else, but it's just going to allow more buyers to come into the picture. Another example why we might want to um, really get in front of everything that can come up is I try to get my sellers to do a quality of earnings. Basically, it's going to be a third party audit of the books. And the books are going to include uh, uh, add backs or taking away add backs for things that should be or shouldn't be part of the calculation of what the business revenues are and what the profits are and what we call EBITDA, which is earnings before interest, depreciation, tax, and amortization. So, 12 months out, ideally, is when we start to, we have time to smooth things out and make it more sellable. And that could be legal and operational preparation. Um, I'll go through this fairly quickly. Buyer identification and outreach. I have a pretty good idea. I already have lists for most of the roofing companies, electrical contracting companies. I'm reaching out across the country and sometimes outside the country. I have a commercial solar business that is attractive to the very largest of businesses across around the world, actually. And I have smaller businesses that it's just a small pond of buyers that would be interested in, say, a outdoor power tool company or store. So this is just a quick overview. We usually see a deal is going to take up to a year, and the first three months is usually just collecting documents, putting together the sales packet, putting together the buyer list, getting everything signed off on, and ideally, that takes roughly 3 months. It might take a little longer, uh, but then the next part is literally reaching out to buyers. And my job is quite often vetting them to make sure they have the money and the experience, saving the owner quite a bit of time. And that's kind of what we're doing. We don't get paid until we close a deal. So let's just go through now and get into the details. This is usually the biggest one, everybody. And I mentioned the quality of earnings. We just want to make sure that your accounting is gonna be what the buyers want to see. We want to really vet it out and find any issues way out in front that can be cleaned up. The valuation, we do comp reports. Um, the market valuations do go up and down. I mean, right now, currently, at the end of 2025, interest rates have been kind of an issue this last year. They've been a little bit on the high side. So, getting a loan for buying a business is more expensive. So it's been a little harder to sell businesses. At the same time, quite a few of the businesses that we're selling are big enough to where the buyer is literally buying it from their balance sheet. They're not needing a lender, and we all love those kind of deals. Um, and then identifying value drivers is what are the strengths? And at the same time, what are the weaknesses? I identified one of those. The management team was very lean. That needed to be bolstered, and that's in the process of getting done. That might take a year to get somebody trained up and comfortable that could literally take over the reins of the business or do the key responsibilities of that business. The next phase is legal and operational. The legal side is going to be, everything you can see there, the contracts, leases, vendor agreements. I can just pull, from each one of these a deal that I'm working on. Um, Leases can be an issue, but ideally the owner of the business owns the real estate. That makes it a lot easier. Um, but sometimes, for instance, they might not be charging themselves fair market for that space, and so that would have to be an adjustment. Um, Legal issues, I mean, they want to go in. I mean, when you go into due diligence, as I am on a deal right now, due diligence is very scrutinous. They're going to get into every aspect of your insurance, everything that's happening on the legal side, corporate documents, all that. And that's on, layered in with everything that they're going to want to see in the financials, bank statements. Um, I mean, I've seen it down to what's this $200 for from 3.5 years ago. That's what you have to be ready for. And when you're working with someone like us who are experienced, we're gonna show you up front of what's going to be expected of you in due diligence. Sometimes the seller does all that, or sometimes he has a team or she has a team to handle all the things that are going to be asked for. What's kind of nice on the financial side, the quality of earnings is usually the buy side hires a large accounting firm, and they're going to go into your QuickBooks. And in the QuickBooks, they can pull a lot of the things that they need. Um, I'm in the due diligence right now for a commercial plumbing business, and it just so happens the owner has so much of it in her head of so these due diligence meetings, which we have every week with the buyers, is smooth sailing. Uh, and it helps have a great memory, very good books, being super organized. So if you don't know it off the top of your head, you can pull it. Essentially, you just want a receipt for everything in your business going back at least 3 years. That's kind of the easiest way to look at it. So that's what you can be doing well up in front. I suggest, even if you're not even selling your business, to do a quality of earnings. I'm happy to refer, companies that do that. I hate to say it's going to be somewhere between 20 and $75,000. Smaller company being on the lower side, or a quality of earnings light is going to be on the lower expense side. So, 6 months out, again, I've already I have these lists. I'm always, these lists are always evolving. Uh, so I could be in the middle of a deal and have already sent out things, and we'll continue adding buyers. Of course, ones that you approve of as the seller. You don't want someone too close to home who might be, wanting just to learn about your business. I mean, this is part of the confidential side that's just super important that we're very mindful of protecting your business, your employees, vendors, customers, all that stuff. This is an interesting one. This preparing of marketing materials, this will take us, probably 3 weeks to put together, and it's really based on all the things that you share with us. And the SIM, or confidential information memorandum, is it's the story of your business. It's what makes you special. It's your financials distilled down to a three-statement model. And a three-statement model is going to be your income statement, your balance summary or balance statement, and it's going to be your cash flow. Investors, that's what they go to, and I'd say 80% initially of the business is going to be, in that sim, is going to be the financials. They want to see a profitable business, ideally gradually growing, great history. They want to be buying something that they can, predict what's going to happen in the next year or two, and ideally scale it as well. So part of this outreach after they've signed NDAs is for us to receive their questions. We should know enough about your business to answer quite a bit of it, to save you time, so you don't have to get on a call or a Zoom with every buyer. So ideally, it leads to them getting on a call with you, um, or actually meeting you for coffee, or maybe after hours, meeting at your business to go into some more of the details. So let's just assume now we've gone into, you've got a couple good offers on the table, or IOIs, indications of interest, or an LOI. And so we're going to weigh those out. We're going to compare those offers for you and what makes them the most sense, because there's an innumerable amount of ways to make an offer. It could be, you'd ideally want to have 100% cash. That's not going to happen too often. You're most likely, if you'd be doing well if you got 80% in cash. The buyer is going to want you to have some skin in the game, and they'll want you to hold on to 10, 20, 30%. They would ideally want to pay you 10% down and the rest be in earnouts. So we have to find that middle ground. If you have a wonderful company, you're more likely more the driver of what you're going to get, which is a nice position to be in. Mostly cash, um, as little, unpredictable earnout. So ideally, your earnout might be, hey, if you hit the revenues of last year or you add 5%, you're going to get an earnout, which is just another way of saying we're holding back a certain amount of money. And if you hit, these targets, you're going to be able to get that other money, or a portion of, sometimes it's prorated. Let's say, you miss it by, 5%. Well, then there'll probably be, some penalty there, but you're going to get a good part of it. You're not, we'll make sure it's not going to be an all or nothing, if they're reasonable, goals. So as we get closer to, everything's going along swimmingly well, we've gone through due diligence, and then we are getting really close to, closing the deal. Um, that's always a great thing. It takes a while. I mean, this has been a year of hard work. Uh, and so, uh, the purchase agreement's going to have all these things in here, that all the T's are being crossed and the I's are been dotted. So Then we get into post-sale considerations, that everything is going according to plan. Um, Ideally, along the way, you know, um, you'll have a tax advisor so you can keep more of the money. You might even think about, and this is what I do with some of my sellers, suggest or have them go through a presentation on opportunity zone investments, which is a way of deferring some of your taxes, but essentially taking a portion or all of what you've gotten from the sale and reinvesting it in an opportunity zone where you become the landlord of a high quality commercial property, for instance, of a 7-Eleven in Sparks, Nevada, or something like that. So a solid investment, and if you hold on to it for X amount of years, your tax bite is going to become less and less. I won't get into the details on that, but it's worth a presentation from the companies that do that. If you, who wants to pay 40 to 50% in tax? So that's part of what's going to be happening. Ideally, not after the sale. These are the things you're going to think about leading up to the sale. So you're really going to know what you're going to have after the close of the deal. So that was just a quick overview of why it takes about a year to sell a business. I hope that was helpful. I'm right here in Marin. I'm a big golfer. If you just want to just talk about it, play golf, go for a cup of coffee, love to meet you. Again, I specialize in anything to do with building services, repair. Um, so again, I'm Chris Moe with Horizon M&A Advisors. Thanks for watching.